Welcome to another Live at 5. My name is Lee Hayward, and this is the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Ask Lee video chat, something that I do every Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you're tuning into our live chat now, I want to welcome you. See some people popping onto the stream. So as you're joining in, please feel free to introduce yourself. And of course, if you have any questions or topics of discussion that you would like to discuss related to health and fitness, nutrition, building muscle, losing fat, getting in your best shape, anything along those lines, feel free to type those questions and topics of discussion into our chat window. And I'm going to do the best that I can to help you out over the course of our video chat today. All right, we have Robert is joining in. Good afternoon, Robert. Glad to have you joining in, regular to our video chat. We have Johnny joining in. Welcome, Johnny. Glad to have you joining us as well. Again, as you're popping on, introduce yourself. All right, let us know that you're tuning in and that it is coming through loud and clear and you can hear me and see me and all that good stuff. Got Lee joining in again, coming through loud and clear. Much appreciated. Awesome. So we see some regulars joining in. And if you are a regular, welcome back. If you're brand new, welcome. Right? Always nice to have new people joining into our live stream Q&As. All right. Who else we got there? See, we've got Adil's joining in. We've got Kieran joining in. Awesome. Good stuff. All right. So as I'm waiting for those of you to type in your questions and topics of discussion. So again, if you're just popping onto the live stream, welcome. And this is your opportunity to ask questions related to health and fitness, nutrition, any specific topics that you want to discuss. Type those into our chat window, and I'll do the best I can to help you out over the course of our video chat today. And this is something I've been doing for years. I remember the very first time I did a live stream Q&A. It was even before YouTube offered the live stream feature. There was a company called Ustream that was available back in the mid 2000s. When I say that, I'm talking about around 2008, somewhere around there. I think was the first time that I did a live stream Q&A. And since then, of course, YouTube's offered the feature, and everywhere, not all social media platforms offer the ability to do live videos now. But back then, that's when I started doing it, and I've been doing them ever since. And I really enjoy it because it's an opportunity to have this interactive conversation in real time, unfiltered, unedited, right? Where we can discuss anything that you want related to fitness and nutrition, health and wellness, and all that good stuff. All right. And let's see, let's jump right into it. Let's see what we got coming through here. We've got Adil saying, what interests you in cycling over other forms of cardio like swimming and running? All right, great question. And for those of you who are regulars, you probably know that I've been talking about the lead up to our provincial road cycling race, and it's happening this Sunday. So I'm currently in process now of getting all the fine details done and peaking, if you will, for that race. So this week leading up to the cycling race was a taper week for me. Just did some short efforts on the bike. And yesterday and today, rest days. Tomorrow, going to be a short effort on the bike just to spin the legs and hopefully hit my peak now on Sunday. So Sunday morning at 9 o'clock is the race. And I'm hoping for a personal best, right? That's the goal. And when it comes to races or any form of competition, the real competition is with yourself, because yes, it's nice to win or it's nice to place high, but all that depends on who else shows up. And I have no control over that, right? Nobody does. Nobody has control over who else shows up, but you can control your preparation, what you do and how hard you work and all that, and your own preparations. You can control that much. So I know my power numbers, I know my speed, and I know what I did last time I did this race last year, or actually it was a couple years since I've done this particular race, this particular course. So I know what I want to beat, and I've got that in mind, and that's my goal now for Sunday, is to hopefully hit a new personal best in our provincial road race, which is going to be in Eastport, Newfoundland on Sunday. But again, Adil's question there, what interests me in cycling over other forms of cardio? I've always been involved with cycling. Like ever since I was a kid and learned how to ride a bike, I never stopped. So I've been doing cycling ever since. But I have tried swimming, I have tried running, and the thing that I really like about cycling is I enjoy the challenge, I enjoy the adventure, you know, the technical aspects of riding a bike. Because I mean, when I was younger, I used to do a lot of dirt biking and motorcycle riding and stuff like that. So now I'm still motorcycling, if you will. I'm the motor, so I'm getting the fitness aspect of it. But I like the adventure and the challenge of bike riding. It's really fun. I like being able to cover long distances and go different places, which is a lot of fun. Like when it comes to swimming, I mean, yes, you can go open water swimming and that, but you're kind of limited to how far you can go with swimming. Running, you're not quite as limited, but it's still, compared to cycling, greatly limited. With the bike, like you can cover a lot of distance, go to different places, and I just find that I like the adventure side of it. That's what I enjoy the most. That's what keeps me going, is the adventure side. But from a practical point of view, in terms of just the exercise, it's a form of cardio that you can do regularly, do consistently, do for long durations, do for high intensity, and it doesn't beat up your body. Whereas running beats up your body, especially if you're a bigger guy. And even for smaller guys, it's still a lot of impact. But the bigger you are, the more impact there is on your joints. And you can't run for the same time, duration, or distance or whatever that you can cycle. Like if I went out and ran for an hour, my body would be destroyed. I go out and cycle for an hour, that's an easy ride for me. Like I don't feel joint pain or shin splints or knee problems or anything like that. I don't have any of that when I cycle. But when I run, all that jarring impact every time you're taking a stride, that compounds and adds up. So that's what I really like about cycling from the fitness side of things, is it allows you to get the cardiovascular conditioning and do so without causing injury. And this is something that you will see a lot. Like in recent years, we're seeing like cycling is becoming more and more popular. And I see a lot of people who were former athletes, former runners, who are now transitioning into cycling for that very reason. It's like, hey, I used to be a runner when I was younger, but my knees and ankles and hips, and they just they can't take the impact of running anymore. But hey, I can get on the bike and I can still get the endurance and the cardiovascular conditioning that I want without beating the body up. So that's my big reason for cycling in terms of the over other forms of cardio. But ultimately, the reason why I like it is because I just enjoy the adventure of it. Right? I mean, it's so much fun. I've gone to so many different places that I would have never gone to if it wasn't for cycling. Because just think, like when you're driving, like you're going back and forth to work, you're running errands, you're going to the grocery store, like you do your regular routes, but very few people drive for the pure pleasure of driving. Now, some do, don't get me wrong, some do, but most people, it's just a means to an end. Like, hey, I got to go to work, I got to go to the store, I got to go run errands, and they just back and forth the most efficient way possible to get the job done. And there's a lot of places that you don't go. You just ride in the same roads, same routes over and over and over again. Whereas with cycling, I'm looking for those back roads. I'm looking for those adventures. Or if I'm going out on the gravel bike or whatever, I'm looking for the trails. I'm out looking for adventure. And I've gone to so many different places that I normally would never have gone to if it wasn't for cycling. And I just enjoy that. I crave it. And that's what keeps me coming back for more. Right. So I really enjoy it. Right. I would do it even if it wasn't good exercise. And I give you an example of that. Like I for years, I rode motorcycles, right? Loved it. And the same thing again, like I would seek out these different routes and places to go riding because I just loved riding my motorcycle. Well, I'm doing the exact same thing now, but I'm doing it on a bicycle. So I'm getting the adventure side, check, but I'm also getting the fitness side, check. So it's win-win in both areas. But I mean, I would do it even if it wasn't good exercise because I just love the adventure side. All right, what else we got there? Let's see. We have, hey guys, K Dog the Conqueror is here. Okay. Don't know what that means, but we'll go with it. Robert's asking how the bike ride will go. Well, ask me that next week. The bike ride is this Sunday, so it hasn't happened yet, right? Well, it's not a ride, it's a race, right? There is a difference. I mean, there is a difference, right? But yeah, I'll let you know next week when we have our live Q&A. All right. Robert saying he started using a massage compression chair. Seems helpful. I don't even know what you mean by a massage compression chair. I know what you mean by a massage chair. I guess that's same thing. We actually have a couple of them at our local gym, and sometimes I will use the massage chair after a workout if I'm feeling a bit stiff or sore. Like sometimes if my back is feeling sore after a workout, or maybe hamstrings or something's feeling a bit sore after a workout, I'll sit in the massage chair, and you can target different areas, and yeah, I find it provides a bit of relief for sure. I mean, I'm one of those nice to have things, but I don't own one myself. But hey, if you're getting some benefit from it and you enjoy it, go for it. All right, let's see what else. Another question here. Do you recommend cooking in bulk and portioning meals in advance rather than cooking each meal from scratch? It depends. And I'm going to unpack that question because, as I said, it depends. I don't like to cook in bulk to the point where the food doesn't taste good, if you know what I mean. Like if you cook up a bunch of food like in mass quantities, like you hear some people say, oh, I do all my meal prep once a week. Well, by the time the end of the week rolls around, the food isn't tasting as fresh as it did at the beginning of the week. So I'm not a huge fan of prolonged bulk cooking in that sense. But when I do cook meals, I usually cook enough to have leftovers for maybe a day or two after. Like prime example, last night we had chicken and potatoes was the main thing. And we grilled up a whole tray of chicken breasts, and we had leftovers. So, I mean, we still got some in there. So we had them last night. I had one for lunch today. There's still chicken there for maybe 2 or 3 days, right? Same with the potatoes. Like we baked up a whole tray of potatoes there. We got those little tiny mini potatoes and sliced them up and baked them in the oven. There was enough for the meal, and there's enough for leftovers for another couple meals. That's generally how big of a bulk that I'll do. I'll usually cook for a couple meals or so in advance, 2 to 3 meals. I'm not a huge fan of cooking for a week in advance because, again, the food typically doesn't taste as fresh when it's that long sitting in the refrigerator. And I like to change things up. So, we'll have the chicken and spuds now for a couple of days, and we'll change it up and have some other foods and different choices. Might be different source of protein, might be rice instead of potatoes, and kind of like changed up that way. But it does make sense to cook in bulk because it really doesn't take that much more time or effort to cook a bigger meal than it does to cook a smaller meal. Like the cleanup is almost the same. I mean, okay, you'll use a bigger pot or you'll use a bigger pan or whatever, but by the time you're in the kitchen, you're cooking and everything else, it's not that much difference, and you can be so much more efficient if you cook for more than one meal at a time. So that's what we typically do. Right? I know some people like to cook for a week's food in advance, and if you do and it works for you, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm just sharing the way that I do it personally. Like I usually cook for a few meals at a time, do it that way. Another one that's really good with meal prep is having your healthy fast food options available. And what I mean by that is food that you can whip up very quick, very easy with hardly any meal prep. And that's the convenience of processed foods and fast foods. Like why do people eat processed food or fast food? It's because it's virtually no meal prep, right? It's quick, it's easy, it's instant. Like think of like a frozen pizza, right? You pop it in the oven for whatever, 10, 15 minutes, boom, you got a pizza. It's very quick and convenient. Well, you can have healthy fast food options that kind of fit that quick and convenience factor, but are still nourishing to your body on the cellular level and helping you to meet your fitness and fat loss goals. So for me, like bags of pre-made salad, that's a default staple. Like every time we go grocery shopping, we buy the bags of pre-made salad. I also get pre-grilled chicken breasts that are already individually packed. And these, I mean, they are seasoned, so there is a bit more sodium and stuff like that versus if you get the fresh chicken. So I will acknowledge that. But the convenience factor is huge, right? So, I mean, I will get the bags of pre-made salad. I will get the packages of pre-grilled chicken, like fat-free Greek yogurt, fat-free cottage cheese, things like that. And one of my default meals that I have at least once a day, and in fact, I had it literally 20 minutes before I started this video chat. I just had one. I made up a large garden salad with a pre-made salad bag that I had got from the store, put in one of those pre-grilled chicken breasts. It was already chopped up. Just throw it in, mix in some fat-free Greek yogurt with it. Boom. Like it took me like 60 seconds to stir it all up, and I had a large chicken salad, right? Have that along with, you know, a cup of rice, have it with a wrap. You could have it with baked potato or whatever, but like you could have that, or even have it just by itself if you just want protein and veggies, or you could have it, like, say, with a source of carbs if you want to have your protein, veggies, and carbs. And it's healthy fast food. And having options like that available makes it so much easier to stay on track, because it gives you that fast food convenience, but you're making a better choice, right? A better fast food choice, not a, you know, junk food fast food choice, which what most people do. You're making a healthy fast food choice. And if you can make eating healthy quick and convenient, you're much more likely to do it, because time is not going to be an excuse, right? Like a lot of people, they don't eat healthy because, well, I don't have time to eat healthy, or I'm too tired to eat healthy, right? I come home from work, I just want to eat something quick. Well, if you can get the fast food, the healthy fast food, just as quick or even quicker than the not so healthy fast food, you're probably going to have it. Like it takes me less time to mix up my chicken salad than it would be to heat up a frozen pizza in the oven, right? Like it's, so I mean, it's the convenience factor is scratched off the excuse list, right? Because it's actually easier to get that. Sure, I mean, it probably doesn't taste as good or whatever, but it's nourishing, it's filling, and it's helping to aid with my fitness and fat loss goals versus hindering the fitness and fat loss goals. So healthy fast food, that's one of my go-to secrets that makes it so much easier to be consistent. But yeah, a great question for sure. Johnny's joining in saying, can you have too much branched chain amino acids? I take a separate tablet amino, and it's in my protein drink also. No, that's not a lot. I mean, I wouldn't worry about that. I mean, can you take too much? Well, yes, technically, sure, you can take too much of anything, but from a practical point of view, you're not going to get too much amino acids by taking a couple servings a day. And the tablet amino acids, it's not a very big serving. Now, again, it depends on how big the tablets are, how many you're taking, and all that. But generally speaking, like if you're buying like the powder amino acids, that's what I use. Like the one that I have down here on the counter, just to show you. This is one that I'm using right now. It's EAAs. That's what I like to use, essential amino acids. So this is basically like a grape flavored drink mix. It's got amino acids and electrolytes. I mix that up in a water bottle, and I'll take that when I go to the gym. I mix it up in my water bottles when I'm cycling, right? So I'll have the essential amino acids. A side note, I would recommend essential amino acids over the branched chain amino acids, because branched chain amino acids, they contain the key amino acids that you need for muscle growth, but essential amino acids contain all the essential amino acids that your body needs for full function, including the branched chain amino acids. So it's more complete to get an EAA over a BCAA. So just keep that in mind. I mean, still use up your BCAAs that you got now. Like there's nothing wrong with them. Use them. But when you're going to buy more, get some essential amino acids, EAAs versus the BCAAs. That'll just be a better choice, a more complete amino acid profile, so that you get better results overall. but I wouldn't worry about taking too much. I mean, if you were downing like 10 servings a day or whatever, okay, we could say that's a bit overkill, but you're taking a couple servings a day, that's not a lot, right? Like when I'm at the gym, I mean, I put it in my water bottle. When I'm out for bike rides, I'll have it in, like for me, when I go on a big bike ride, I'm probably having 3 or 4 servings of amino acids because I'll mix it up in my water bottles, and I'll even take some with me, put it in like Ziploc bags, along with some carbohydrate powder. And when I'm going for the rides, like I'll mix up one in each water bottle. I always take 2 bottles on my bike. And then when I stop to refill them, I'll put in the amino acids and the carb powder in with the bottles again. So if I'm going for a big ride, I could easily have 4 servings of amino acids just on that ride alone. And that's when you want the amino acids, is when you're active, when you're actually in training. So like when you're in the gym working out, or when you're doing that long distance endurance event or whatever, because as your body's breaking down muscle tissue and going into that catabolic state from training, your body can use that amino acids to rapidly help to replenish what your body's breaking down, and it can aid with the recovery and the growth process. So that's the benefit of amino acids versus protein. I mean, when protein's broken down, it still provides all the essential amino acids, but it takes hours for your body to break down protein. Like when you eat a chicken breast, for example, that could take several hours of digestion before that chicken breast is broken down into the actual amino acids that your body needs. When you take an amino acid supplement, within 20 minutes of consuming it, it's absorbed and into your system. So it's very rapidly absorbed, and you can actually utilize it during the training itself. So it helps to jumpstart the whole recovery process and keep you in a more anabolic state, prevent that catabolism where you're breaking down muscle tissue. So that's why we want to take it during training. I don't take it outside of the training window. I mean, you could if you wanted to. Like I know some people really like the taste of amino acids, and they almost use it like a water flavoring in that sense. Again, there's nothing wrong with it if you want to do that, but I always save it for when I need it, and that's during those hard workouts. When I'm in the gym, when I'm on the bike, when I'm pushing myself hard, that's when I want to have those amino acids. But again, as far as too much, unless you are just consuming like 10 plus servings a day consistently, day in, day out, I mean, I wouldn't worry about too much. Right, your body's basically going to use what it needs, right? Like it'll absorb it, and it's not really going to cause any issues, unless, of course, for some reason it gives you any digestive issues. But yeah, I wouldn't worry about that one. Who else we got? We got Orby joining in. Welcome, Orby. Can you lose weight by just lifting weights and eating protein? Yes, you could lose weight as long as you're in a calorie deficit. So as long as that diet provides a calorie deficit, meaning you're burning more than you're consuming, you will lose weight. Vice versa, if you eat more than you burn, you're in a calorie surplus, you're going to gain weight. But I guess the question you're asking there, like, do you need to do cardio, or can you just lift weights and focus on your nutrition in order to lose body fat? And the answer is yes, you can certainly do that. Cardio is a tool that can help with the fat loss process, but it's not the end all be all. The end all be all to fat loss is nutrition, because even if you do lots of cardio, you do lots of weight training, if your diet is you're consuming a surplus, or you're eating poor quality food choices and a surplus, then you're not going to lose body fat, right? You can still get fat and do lots of cardio and do lots of exercise if you're eating poor food choices. So nutrition, hands down, that's the number one thing, right? The training, the cardio, all that can help, but it's not going to cancel out poor diets, right? Like the foundation first is the nutrition, right? So that's the number one thing. And that's where most guys really get it wrong, because I know a lot of people love to work out, love to go to the gym and train, but they say, like, I'm still struggling to lose body fat because their nutrition is not dialed in. They're eating too much, usually eating too much of the wrong things, drinking alcohol, fast food, junk food, snack food, like when the nutrition's not dialed in, it doesn't matter how good the training is, right? You're not going to be tapping into that stored body fat, right? That's the number one thing for sure. And that's what we need to really optimize, is finding that balance of how you can nourish your body on the cellular level while still keeping a slight calorie deficit, but not a big aggressive calorie deficit where it's unsustainable, right? And this is where there's a lot of finesse and a lot of fine tuning here, because some people just want to do like what you mentioned. Well, I'm not going to eat any carbs. I'm not going to eat any fat. I'm just going to eat protein, right? And think that that's going to do it. Well, technically, yes, you can make that work, but like, can you see yourself going the rest of your life without eating another carbohydrate? Probably not. Like, you might suffer it out for a few weeks. I mean, if you're really hardcore, you might suffer it out for a few months, but eventually, like, everybody's got their threshold of how much suffering they can take before they say, you know, screw it, it's not worth it. I'm in a moment of weakness, you know, they give in and then they binge. And then very often when they binge, they feel guilty and they beat themselves up. And what happens when you feel guilty and you start getting down on yourself? You go and you binge some more because you want some comfort food to feel better in the moment. And it can just spiral out of control. So we need to find a way where we're eating enough to nourish the body, fuel it, provide everything it needs on the cellular level, and also to get through those hard workouts and still be productive, but have a slight calorie deficit so that you're tapping into burning stored body fat. And it's a very fine line, right? It really is. And this is something that, you know, you really need to dial it in. And like when I'm working with coaching students, you know, this is the challenge. This is our regular conversation week after week, is like, how do we dial that in? How do we optimize it? And it's not just as simple as saying, hey, just cut your carbs, right? Like, sure, that can work in the short term, but we're not just looking for some short-term quick fix. We're looking for something that you can sustain for literally years. Like, what can you do and sustain and enjoy as a lifestyle, not just something that you're going to suffer through for a few weeks or a few months. So that's where it really gets tricky, right? And if you want some help with that, what I recommend, I have a PDF download. If you head on over to my website, leehayward.com, there's on the side menu bar there's a link to a PDF that you can download. It's called Ripped After 40. And it explains the whole principles, you know, the three-phase system that I personally use, and what I also teach my coaching students on how to optimize your training and your nutrition and your lifestyle habits so that you can lose that body fat, do so without cutting carbs, without sacrificing, you know, family time, and without feeling like you're on this, you know, hamster wheel and suffering it out, while you can still enjoy your life in the process and still get the results. And the big thing is how can you sustain it while enjoying it? And that's the key. Like, a lot of people don't factor in enjoyment with their training and their nutrition. They just think like, how much can I suffer it out? And suffering, yeah, there's a time and a place for suffering. Don't get me wrong. There is a time and a place for it, but we don't want to suffer as a lifestyle. Like, we want to enjoy the process most of the time. Every now and then, when you really got to dial it up for the short term, you might go into the suffer it out, grit your teeth a little bit, but then you need to be able to dial it back to a more sustainable maintenance level. And that's something that I cover in that whole PDF. So again, it's called Ripped After 40, and you can download it over on my website at leehayward.com. I think if you haven't got a copy of that, go check that out. And I think you'll find that very helpful. Give you a lot of insight into the whole big picture perspective of how you can make this a sustainable lifestyle and not just some short-term quick fix. We got who else? Johnny joined in saying good luck with the race. Much appreciated, my friend. And, you know, fingers crossed things do go well. We got JJ joining us saying, friend gave me venison. Is that packed with protein? Yeah, any form of meat, you know, whether it's beef, chicken, fish, bison, venison, game meat, whatever, it's protein. Like, meat is primarily protein. That's the main nutrient. And the nice thing about you know, meat, as long as you trim off the excess fat, you're getting primarily lean protein, low in fat, high in nutrients. Yeah, I mean, absolutely, it's a good source of protein. And, you know, the actual ratios may vary slightly. Like, certain cuts of meat may have slightly higher amounts of protein than others, but they're all good sources of protein, right? Any type of, like, whether it's beef, bison, fish, chicken, turkey, like all these types of foods, eggs, dairy products. They're all high sources of protein, right? So yeah, venison is definitely on that list, a good high source of protein. We've got AJ joining in, regular to our chat as well. Welcome back. Glad to have you joining in. We've got Sam joining in. Is there anything that you feel is important to aid your recovery on rest days? Yeah, that's a great question for sure. One thing that I want to emphasize, and this is a common misconception that a lot of people have, is thinking that nutrition doesn't matter on rest days or protein doesn't matter on rest days. This is something I hear a lot of people say, well, I don't need to eat a high protein diet today because it's a rest day, or I don't need to take supplements today because it's a rest day. Well, if you're training consistently, even if you're training, let's say every other day, just because it's a quote unquote rest day doesn't mean that your body is still not building and repairing muscle tissue from your previous training session. Like when you work out, it can take hours. And when I say hours, we're talking like 72 to 96 plus hours for that muscle group to fully rest and recover. Depending on how hard you train and your work capacity might even take longer. But ballpark figure, like let's just say it takes you 72 hours, 3 days to fully recover after a workout. So you work out on Monday, like just because Tuesday rolls around doesn't mean, oh, nutrition's out the window, I'm not going to the gym today, I can slack off. No, you want to make sure that you're fueling your body and doing everything you can to optimize the recovery process, because your body is still repairing from that previous training session. And then not only that, you want to fuel and make sure that your glycogen and everything's topped up for the next training session. So the big thing that's going to have the biggest impact is the nutrition every day, not just on training days, but on the recovery days as well, because you're rebuilding from that previous workout and you want to fuel up and make sure that your glycogen stores are topped up for the next workout. So nutrition is an everyday thing. It's not just a workout day thing. Same with the rest. And what I mean by rest is sleep habits. Like some people think, well, I'll get a good night's sleep because I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow morning. So I want to get a good night's sleep tonight. And then the next day, that's a rest day. So I'll stay up late tonight because I'm not going to the gym tomorrow. So it doesn't matter. No. Rest and recovery, same thing. You're either putting it in the bank, you're putting in quality sleep in the bank, or you're draining the bank account, if you will, draining the sleep bank account. So always think every day is having an impact. You want to lay that foundation, the nutrition, the rest, the recovery, the sleep, the lifestyle habits. It matters every single day, right? That's one of the big things, because I see a lot of guys getting slack on their off days, and that can hinder their progress on their training days, because you got to think of it from the big picture perspective, right? It's not just this little minute, it only matters while I'm in the gym, and then the gym session's done and I can slack off. No, it doesn't quite work that way. But that would be the big one for sure. We have Ryan joining in. Says, do you ever have workouts where you regress? Some workouts I can't do as many reps on a given exercise compared to the previous workout. Absolutely. Yep, that's a great question, great observation, and everybody is going to experience this. And if you haven't experienced it yet, then you will experience it. All right, it's just a matter of time. And I'm going to give you an analogy. Like, some days you probably wake up in the morning and you jump out of bed and you're like, man, I had a great night's sleep. I'm energized. I feel really good. Can't wait to start the day, right? Boom. You hop out of bed with energy to burn. Other days, the alarm rings and you're just like, oh my God, I don't want to get out of bed today. Like, I didn't sleep well the night before. I'm just so tired. I'm dragging my heels, right? I want to hit the snooze button. Blah. Your strength in the gym is going to fluctuate just like that. Like, some days you're going to be tired, some days you're going to be energized. Some days in the gym you're going to feel strong, some days you're going to feel weak as shit. And that's just the way it is. Nobody's ever bang on 100% every day, right? It just doesn't happen. Pro athletes are not bang on 100% every day. We all go through ups and downs, right? We'll have good days and bad days and in between days and everything else. That's normal. What I want you to focus on is the big picture perspective and realize as long as you show up consistently good, you're still going to make progress over the long term, right? Suffer through the bad days, enjoy the good days, ride it through in the medium days, and just keep pushing forward. Don't get hung up on it, and don't get emotionally attached to it. Like, oh, I bench press 225 for 10 reps yesterday or last week, and now this week I can barely get it for 5 reps. It's not a big deal. Like, shit happens. You're just weaker, you're tired, whatever. Like, or something. You're just not feeling 100% today. Don't read into it too much. Like, some people overanalyze it and overthink. Now, look at the long-term trend, not the short-term fluctuations. It's almost like if you're an investor looking at the stock market. Like, you wouldn't freak out over the day-to-day fluctuations. You look at the long-term trend. Like, is this stock going up or is it going down? And you kind of make your decisions on big picture perspective, not just day-to-day fluctuations. Because, I mean, it might spike one day and then dip the next, and you can't really make any logical decisions on that short-term information. But if you look at where's this been going over the last several months, over the last several years, like, where's the long-term trend going here, you can make a much better, well-educated guess, if you will, on where this is moving. Same when it comes to your workouts. So if you've been making good progress and you have like an off day where, hey, my strength just is not there, I feel a bit weaker, just don't make a big deal of it. But if you keep having off days and you keep having, getting weaker and weaker and weaker, and there seems to be more bad days than good, then okay, we need to reevaluate your whole training and nutrition program and see where can we dial this up a bit? Like, where can we optimize it? What's the weak links in the chain, so to speak? But if you're having more good days than bad, then just suck it up. I mean, just realize, hey, that's normal. It happens to everybody, and don't freak out over it. Right? But I go through it all the time. Right? I mean, I'll have some days where I feel strong and energetic, and ready to crush it. Other days it's like, mediocre, so. And then there's some days it's just like, man, I'm running on empty. Like, there's just nothing there, right? And I adjust the workouts accordingly. So I'll adjust the intensity. Like, if I go into the gym and I'm feeling really strong, maybe that's the day I'm going to try for a new personal record. I'm going to try and push myself extra hard. On the days where I'm feeling so, well, I'll probably keep with what I've been doing, right? Just see if I can match what I did before. And on the days when I'm going in there and I know I'm tired, dragging my heels, well, maybe I'll scale it back, right? I'll do lighter weights. Maybe I'll even choose easier exercises. Like, maybe I'll do a bit more machine work versus free weights because it's not quite as challenging or not quite as hard on the body, so I'll sometimes change it up that way. I'll choose an easier variation on the days where I'm feeling extra tired. And I encourage you to do the same yourself. Like, adjust your intensity based on how you're feeling. Right? If you're feeling good, that's when you can push it. On the days you're not feeling as good, scale it back, right? And just realize that's part of the process, right? It doesn't mean you're doing things good, bad, right, or wrong, because sometimes it's outside your control. And another thing too is maybe, like, after you have a really good workout and you maybe crush a personal best, your body is probably just extra tired and sore because you pushed it that much harder in that session. It's probably going to take a little longer for you to fully recover. So in the subsequent sessions after, you may feel a bit weaker. That's normal, right? Until your body goes through that full, recovery, growth, and super compensation phase. So it's all part of the process, but that's normal for everybody. All right, who else we got joining in? Maxwell is saying, in your 20s and 30s, do you think you'd have benefited more with today's instant information, or was it better back in the 90s and early 2000s when answers were harder to find but less confusing? Oh, that's a good question. That is a really good question. And we could argue this one both ways. We really can. I'm grateful that I did start training before the internet, when information came at a snail's pace compared to today. uh, like when I started dabbling with weights, it was back in the late 80s. I got my I f- I say I officially started working out because we got a proper home gym for Christmas 1990. I asked my parents for a home gym. But before then, we had the York dumbbell and barbell sets, those plastic cement filled weights down the basement. So I dabbled with stuff like that. But I got an actual universal home gym machine in 1990. And then it just started to keep building. We elaborated on that home gym, and I trained in a basement home gym for my first 8+ years of training. Like I did 3 bodybuilding shows training out of a basement home gym, and then eventually joined a commercial gym and been spiraled and progressing from there on. But I am grateful that I started when information came at a slower pace, and I'm actually grateful for being naive, because back when I started training, and for many years, like I thought everybody was natural. I didn't think like nobody used performance enhancing drugs or anything like that. Stuff like that, that's taboo. Like no way. Like I literally thought like all the pro bodybuilders that I seen in the magazines, like they were all natural, right? Like, and I was so naive about that. And I thought to myself, well, I'm going to become a pro bodybuilder and I'm going to do it natural, just like these guys, right? So that naivety, it sometimes gives you hope and optimism, and you push yourself early on without having your dreams crushed. Whereas sometimes today, when information comes so much and we get hit hard with the reality of things, it can actually discourage people from even getting started, right? So there is, you got to look at it from that side. It's almost like the term that I've often heard people say is almost like trying to feed steak to a baby. Like steak is a great food. It's a very nutrient dense, great source of protein, but you got to be ready for it, right? You feed steak to a baby, you're going to kill it, right? You got to be ready for it. And I'm actually grateful for the way that my journey evolved, because in my early days, in my early teens and stuff, when I was going through it, I was very naive going through the whole bodybuilding process. Even when I did my first few shows, I was very naive. And that naivety served me, right? It actually served me well. And then as I got around the sport a bit more and talking to some more advanced bodybuilders and competitors, I realized, wait a minute, you mean these guys aren't all natural? Like there's more to it than just hard work and eat right and exercise? Like really? So I'm grateful for that, right? Because it kept me, I guess, pushing and maximizing my natural limits for a long time, right? It really did. I mean, and I think if I had have had that, just hit you over the head with the truth right from the start, it probably would have been discouraging, or probably would have led me down a road jumping into the dark side, if you will, right? Because especially when you're young, you're easily tempted by shortcuts and quick fixes and stuff, where I didn't even know they existed back when I started. So yeah, again, there's pros and cons to it. But the big thing that you mentioned there in your whole question, information was harder to find, but the information that was out there was less confusing, and that is a huge plus. Because if I just say this is the way to do it, here it is, right? This is your workout, this is your eating plan, boom, just go do it, and you don't question it, and you actually follow it and give it an honest effort, chances are you're going to make some really good progress with it. But then the problem today is someone might see one program and say, okay, here's a workout, here's an eating plan, and I'm going to try it. And then next thing they know, they scroll on Instagram and someone says, oh, that workout program you're doing is bullshit, right? You got to do this type of training program. And then that diet plan you're following, oh, that doesn't work. You got to follow this type of diet plan. And there's all this contradictory information. Like, I mean, prime example, you got like the vegans on one side saying, hey, never eat a piece of meat because if you do, you're going to die. And then you got the carnivores on the other side saying, hey, never eat a plant because if you eat a plant, it's going to kill you. like, and both are convinced they're right, right? Vegans saying meat's going to kill you, carnivores are telling you plants are going to kill you, and both are convinced they're right. Whereas, what if we can find the middle ground? Like, how about we eat natural, unprocessed meats and plants? Get the best of both worlds, right? Get the phytonutrients and the zoonutrients, and get the best in there. And that's where things can really get confusing. And there's so much clickbait crap out there too these days, right? I actually feel sorry sometimes when I get people reaching out to me and they're so confused because they got a question in their mind, and then they go on Google and they search for it, or they go on social media and they start following influencers, and they're more confused after asking their question than they were before. Right now, that's the reason why I like doing these Q&As. Like, I try to give a legit, honest answer and explain the pros and cons to both sides, but even this can be confusing. It really is, right? But it's one of those things. Like, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, right? Because you can argue it both ways, saying like what's better, what's worse. But I don't regret the way it worked out for me, right? I mean, I wouldn't change a thing. Like, if I could do it all over again, I'd probably still do it the way that I did. I'd rather start pre-internet era, when information came at a slower pace, but you actually applied that information and got the best from it before you got boggled and overloaded with information overload from too much information. I think that's the biggest problem these days, is just information overload. So much shit coming at you that you just don't know who or what to believe anymore. But yeah, that's a deep one. A deep thought question for sure. We've got Art joining in. Welcome, Art. He's a regular to our chats. Got Andy joining in. Andy's making some awesome progress. He's a member of our Muscle After 40 VIP program. He's saying, what is the best food and exercise when you have the cold? I've been sick this week, but I still have decent energy levels. You know what, Andy? The type of eating that you're following now, like going through the whole Muscle After 40 program, that's the foundation right there. I mean, natural, unprocessed foods that are going to nourish your body on the cellular level, and not giving into the junk food comfort foods. Because even though the junk food comfort foods feel good in the moment, you might say like, oh, I'm feeling sick. I just want whatever junk food of choice. I just want a pizza or cake or cookies or whatever junk food you fancy. I don't know. Yes, you eat it and it might feel good and taste good in the moment, but it's not nourishing the body, and it's placing extra stress on your system, loading it up with just empty calories, toxins, and that's not helping you with your immune system. So the natural, unprocessed foods like you're eating now, like your lean proteins, your veggies, your healthy fats, good quality carbohydrates, like all that stuff, that's the stuff that you want to be eating. Now, you may want to prepare it in a way that might be a bit more palatable or enjoyable. Like, I find sometimes like soups and stews are nice when you're feeling a bit under the weather, right? So instead of having like your chicken and your veggies and whatever, maybe you want to make that up into a nice soup or a stew, right? That might be more appetizing and give you that comfort food sensation that you're craving, right? One thing that I would recommend as well, be a bit more flexible with your portion sizes. Like, if you're not feeling hungry, because sometimes when people get sick, they actually kind of like lose their appetite a little bit. If you're not feeling overly hungry, don't force it. Like, it's okay to listen to your body. And if you're not hungry, then just don't eat as much, right? That's fine. Or vice versa, you may actually feel hungrier. And if that's the case, especially if you're under the weather, listen to your body and eat till you're comfortable, right? Don't over stress about like, oh, is this going to optimize my muscle growth and all that. Focus on getting better first. Focus on getting healthy first, and trying to make yourself, optimize that process. That's what I really focus on. So if you are hungrier, eat a little bit more to satisfy that hunger. If you're not as hungry, don't stress over it. If you want to eat a little less, that's fine as well. One thing, make sure that you stay hydrated. because sometimes it's easy to let the hydration slip, right? When you're feeling under the weather. Some people don't drink enough. Make sure that you're getting enough, and also getting enough electrolytes as well, right? Because when you're drinking more fluids, you want to make sure that you're getting in, your sodium and your potassium, your magnesium, and getting in the adequate electrolytes. If you want to try bumping up the vitamins, like some people like to take more vitamin C when they're feeling under the weather. It's certainly not going to hurt, but yeah, the degree that it may help is kind of hit or miss. Like I've done both ways. Like sometimes when I've had a cold, I'd like slamming back the vitamin C tablets and thinking, oh, I'm going to fight it off. And then sometimes I haven't done any, and the results are probably pretty much the same either way. So I wouldn't really over stress that, the vitamin C. One thing that I do find helpful, sometimes over-the-counter cold medicines, can help, just to help give you that temporary relief and decongestion. Stuff that I like is maybe get like the particular one I use is Benylin chest and cough or something like that. I can't remember the exact name because there's so many different variations of these over-counter medicines. But look for one that has, I believe it's guaiacin. Don't quote me on that now, but if I'll have to look, my pronunciation might be a bit. Is it guaiacin or something? But it begins with G, and it helps to extract mucus. So like if you got a lot of buildup, snotty nose and congestion and hack on the throat, again, I think it's. Let me look it up. So I don't want to be giving you false information here. Oh shit, I can't even. But anyway, it's you look at the label of the cough medicine. Is it guaiacin? I think it is. Ben. I'm just doing a search here now. I got to check this out because I'm probably giving you. I'll share my screen. Which one is it? The one that I use. It's usually chest and congestion. This is the one that I typically use. Just a second. I'm going to share my screen. Oh, trying to share my darn screen here now. I got so many buttons and stuff opened up here. Share screen. All right. This is the one that I use. The chest and cough, chest and congestion. Cough with phlegm, chest congestion. I find that one works the best. And I'm going to see if I can find that ingredient that I was telling you about. There it is. Guaifensin. Guaiacin. I think that's how it's pronounced. I could be wrong, but it's basically a cough extractant, right? That helps you to get the hack and the snots and stuff off your throat. I'm just going to hide your message there. That's what it is. There it is. Right. I find, again, I'm not sponsored by Benylin or anything else. It's just a general recommendation. I always got to clarify that because sometimes anytime people see someone recommending something, they think, oh, you're paid or sponsored by these people. No, I'm not anything. It's just what I personally use. I find that does help when I have a cold. And I'll take it before my workouts as well. I find that little bit of medicine actually helps to extract the snots and that. And I find doing some light exercise when you're feeling under the weather actually helps to aid with the congestion, and I temporarily feel better. So even if I'm not going to the gym for a full-on workout, get outside and go for a walk. I find that helps when you're feeling sick. And the way I like to judge the workouts is if you're not feeling overly tired and the cold is basically like from the neck up where it's just a bit of congestion, I'll probably still go to the gym and train or do a home gym workout or something like that. But if I'm feeling weak and tired, or if I feel like I got the congestion right down onto the chest area, then I'm probably not going to overstress the body with weight training, but I'll still do some like low intensity cardio just to keep active, help with burning calories, but also to help increase the circulation and the airflow throughout your respiratory system. Because I find when you're out walking and moving, the breathing and the airflow clears out your sinuses, clears out the congestion, and just makes you feel better. So that's what I usually do when I'm feeling under the weather. But the main thing is you really just got to wait it out, right? And don't overstress your body. Like trying to do hard, high intensity workouts when your immune system is down, it's you're not helping the process. Like this, when you're feeling sick, think active recovery, right? That's the mindset you want to go into. I want to go into like an active recovery phase, get healthy first. Once I'm healthy, then I can resume pushing the training harder. All right, let's see what else. A deal saying, is eating food in its full fat form more natural and healthy? For example, full fat Greek yogurt and cheese versus the reduced or zero fat. Some people say it is. I usually go with lower fat options because I'm just trying to keep the calories in check. All right. So I have fat-free Greek yogurt. I have fat-free or low-fat cottage cheese. I'll very often get reduced fat or fat-free cheese and stuff like that. And it's just from to cut back on the calories, because I mean fat is the most calorie dense macronutrient. Like there's 9 calories per gram of fat. There's only 4 calories per gram of protein and 4 calories per gram of carbs. So if you want to cut back on your calories or at least keep them in check, reducing excess fat is one of the easiest ways to do it. And from a practical point of view, like I feel just as satisfied eating a cup of fat-free yogurt versus a cup of full-fat yogurt. Now, I know some people say, oh, the full fat's a bit more creamy or whatever, yada, yada, yada. Fair enough, but it's also a hell of a lot more calories. And what are you trying to achieve, right? Like, are you trying to achieve a lean physique? Well, maybe go with the lower fat options, right? Like, we don't need to go out of our way to eat fat. Fat's going to find its way into your diet. Like, you don't need to go purposely adding fat in there. Like, you will easily get enough fat. Even if you're trying to keep your fat low, you'll still get enough fat in your diet, especially if you're meeting your protein intake. Like if you're eating 200 grams of protein a day or more, and it's coming from, like, you're getting a balance of meat and fish and eggs and dairy and all that, choosing low fat options, when possible, you're still going to get enough fat. You don't need to go out of your way to find fat. Fat is easily consumed. In fact, most of us consume way the hell too much fat. So the fat-free or low-fat options helps to keep things in balance. And I would recommend anybody who's doubting me on this, track your calories and macros and do so. Like get an app, whatever it is, MyFitnessPal or any other coaching app or whatever type of nutrition tracking apps out there, and honestly, accurately track your calories, and you'll be blown away by just how much fat the average person eats without even realizing it. Right? It's mind-boggling, right? It's so easy to overdo it. And if you want to try and create a calorie deficit, or at least just trim back the calories, trimming back the fat is one of the easiest ways to do it. So yeah, that's the reason why I do it myself. Right. Johnny saying, thanks for the info on the BCAAs. You're much welcome, my friend. Glad you found it helpful. We have Thomas. I like your show, Lee. I'm hearing you loud and clear over in Dublin, Ireland. Welcome. Glad to have you joining in from the other side of the pond over in Dublin. Nice. Much appreciated. Matt's joining in. Hey, from the East End. I seen a reel yesterday saying that creatine doesn't absorb well with cold water. Dude advised using warm water. Is this splitting hairs, or is there really a difference? It doesn't matter. Your body's going to absorb it. I don't even mix my creatine with water. I dry scoop it. I literally take the scoop of creatine, dump it in my mouth, chase it down with a mouthful of water, and just swish it around and gulp. That's the easiest way to get it in. Like, however you get it in you, as long as it's in you, that it doesn't matter. Like, right? I mean, from the absorption point of view, like, okay, yeah, if you take creatine and put it in warm water, it will like dissolve in the water if it's warm more so than if it's cold. Like that applies with anything. Like you take a spoonful of sugar and put it in a glass of ice cold water, or you take a spoonful of sugar, put it in a glass of warm water, the sugar is going to dissolve faster in the warm water. But if you consume the sugar, it's still getting absorbed in your body, in your gut. Like your gut can break down stuff a lot more efficiently than a glass of water. Like, you have stomach acids and digestive enzymes and everything else that's in your gut that's going to break down all this stuff. So who cares what's happening in a glass of water? We're cared what happens when it goes in your body, and your body will absorb it regardless of what it looks like in a glass of water. So this is splitting hairs, and this is just another example of information overload and people just muddying the water and trying to overcomplicate stuff that doesn't need to be overcomplicated. Like, it doesn't matter how you take it as long as you take it, right? You're not going to, like, if you had subject A, I mix creatine in warm water and drink it. Subject B drinks creatine in cold water, and subject C just dry scoops it with no water. As long as they're taking the same amount of creatine, they're going to get the same results. Like, because it's the body absorbing it. We're not worried about how well the water dissolves it, right? So yeah, that's just confusing people and creating clickbait content, right? Like, anytime you put up a video or something, the right and wrong way about creatine is going to get a lot of views and stuff like that. But from a practical point of view, it makes no difference. And Orby's saying, thanks for answering these questions. You're welcome, my friend. Glad to help. Here's a great question. What would be your approach to bring up a weak muscle group? And would you back off training a dominant muscle group? Yeah, that's you pretty much just nailed it. There's different strategies, but one of my favorite strategies for bringing up a stubborn body part is, one, prioritize one body part at a time, right? This is the first thing. You have to acknowledge, okay, I want to prioritize whatever. Like, let's just say your calves. Let's say you got weak calves. You say, okay, I really want to bring up my calves. We're going to prioritize the calves. The problem I see when it comes to prioritization is some people say, well, I got weak biceps and I got weak calves and I really want more side delts. And, I think I need some to work on spinal rectors. And, I think my glutes are a bit flat. So I'm going to prioritize all those body parts. Well, you just prioritize the whole damn body. That defeats the whole purpose of specialization and prioritizing weak muscle groups. Like, you have pick one. Don't pick, half a dozen different muscle groups and say, oh, I'm going to prioritize them all. Pick one. So, like, whatever it is, it's my calves, it's my biceps, it's my delts, it's whatever. Like, pick a body part. And what I want you to do then is train that muscle group first thing in your workouts. So when you're fresh, you got lots of energy in the gym, that's the one you're going to hit first. And you can train it more frequently. And then your stronger muscle groups. So again, let's just say you want to prioritize the calves, but your upper body, your arms, your shoulders, chest, and everything else, they're pretty good, but I got chicken leg calves. Well, let's just train your strong body parts once a week. Now, you can still train them hard in a progressive overload fashion, but you're only going to train those once a week. But your weaker muscle group, the one that you're prioritizing, you're going to train it at least twice a week, maybe even 3 times a week, depending on the body part. Like calves, you could easily get away with 3 workouts a week for calves. If it's something bigger like legs, especially your thighs, you probably only want to do them twice a week because they take a lot more energy and physically demanding to rest and recover, and the quads and the hamstrings. But bottom line, you're going to train the stubborn body part that you're trying to prioritize more often than your stronger ones. So that's the whole idea of prioritization. And in the Blast Your Biceps program, right, that was an arm specialization program that I wrote several years ago. That's the core training principle that we use in there. It's an arm specialization program. So we're training arms twice a week. All the other body parts, we're only hitting them once a week. And that's the whole idea, is you want to give the stubborn area more of your attention, more of your training focus, and more of your recovery focus, right? We're dedicating our recovery and adaptive energies to that stubborn body part and putting the strong ones on the back burner, putting them on maintenance mode. Right? That's what you want to do. And you could do that for maybe a 3-month phase or something like that. So you actually give it some time to adapt and respond and grow to that training stimulation. And that's how you would bring up a stubborn body part. Now, one thing I want to touch on here as well is we are all going to have some body parts that respond better than others. Like after you've been training for a prolonged period of time, like you've been working out for a couple of years or more, you're going to probably say, hey, like this body part responds really good. This one kind of lags behind. Sometimes it's because of poor training choices. Like, hey, I spent the first 2 years in the gym only training upper body and I never trained legs. Well, okay, that's an easy fix. You got to start training the body parts that you've been neglecting. But even if you train everything in balance and proportion, chances are after a few years of training, you're going to notice some muscle groups respond better than others. This is normal. And it's just, we don't all have the same ratio of muscles, fibers in all body parts. Like in my case, legs, calves, they responded way better than my upper body. And even within my upper body, my chest and back responded way better than my arms and shoulders. Like I've got a thick chest and relatively thick back, but I've got relatively small arms and shoulders in comparison. My calves are way bigger in proportion than my arms are. Like ideally, proportion wise, if you're looking like ideal measurements, your neck, your upper arms, and your calves should all be the same measurement or very close. In my case, calves are the biggest. Neck would be the next, and then my arms are the smallest, right? So my arms are just a genetically weak area, and that's something I had to really struggle, and I'm still struggling to try and keep in balance and proportion, right? So everyone's going to have certain body parts that respond better, certain body parts that respond worse. And you can even see this like on the pro level. Like if the common one you see, like especially in high level bodybuilders, is probably like a more minor muscle group like the calves. They might have like huge upper body, huge arms, huge chest, delts, whatever, and then chicken leg calves, right? Because the way a bodybuilding contest is judged, they generally judge from the top down. So you'll get more credit for being well built from the top, and the lower down we go, like when you're getting to the calves, I'm not saying that they don't matter, but at the lower level, someone with a crazy huge upper body is going to beat somebody who's got a mediocre upper body and crazy good legs, right? So that's why sometimes you'll see guys make it to the elite level in bodybuilding or the pro level in bodybuilding, and that's when they're really nitpicking everything. That's when, hey, those chicken leg calves are really going to play a role, or your hamstrings are not as full as compared to your quads, or they're getting more nitpicky with muscle groups and stuff like that. Whereas at the lower level, they're looking at the big picture generalization, if you will, right? But everybody's going to have it. Like even top level pros will have imbalances and stuff like that, and have certain body parts that respond better than others. So you just have to be aware of it. But that's one of the key strategies. That's the one that I would start with first, right? Take your strong body parts, put it on a maintenance program once a week. Your weaker body parts, put it on a specialization program, train it first thing when you go to the gym, and increase the frequency, right? Frequency is the key there. The more often you can hit that muscle group, the more you can pump blood and nutrients into the muscle group, the more you're going to help to spur that on to growing. Let's see what else we got. Oh boy, we're already over an hour already. This is great. I know I do these shows every week, and it's just like I just getting warmed up, and I'm like, shit, man, I've been doing this for over an hour already. Time flies. AJ is joining in. Have you had much experience in calisthenics? Pure body workouts for an extended period of time, working with those hanging rings like a gymnast and stuff like that. No, I've never owned a set of gymnastic rings, so I have never done any specific ring work. I have back in the day did a lot of body weight workouts, especially when I was younger and training in martial arts. I mean, we did a lot of body weight, but it wasn't ring work or gymnastics work or stuff like that. It was a lot of like push-ups and core work, body weight squats, and stretching and things like that. And of course, just using your body in martial arts and training and kata and stuff like that. But it wasn't gymnastics type calisthenics work. So no, I don't have any direct experience with that, but one of my coaching students and one of my co-hosts for the Total Fitness Bodybuilding podcast, Jeff Samatero, he's actually went and trained with a calisthenics coach and dedicated specific time to mastering those exercises. And it's something, I mean, if you're interested in it, I would highly recommend it, but go to a dedicated calisthenics gym and get the training. Like, I know a lot of people want to be stubborn and figure it out on their own, but there's so many technical nuances when it comes to calisthenics, especially. It's good to work with a coach, right? Someone who can take you from where you are and build you up in a progressive overload fashion, because there is progressive overload with it. It's not just grab the rings and grind and strain and hope for the best. Like, you need to build up with several progressively easier variations, building up to the more advanced variations. And it's something that you really need a coach to help you with. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely seek it out. Like, look around in your local area, whether it's local gymnastics clubs or there might be actual calisthenics clubs, but check it out and see what's available in your area and get the coaching, especially from the technical side of things. That's the most important thing, because that could make the difference between progress and injury. And you definitely don't want to get injured. All right, who else we got there? We have John's joining in. Welcome, John. Glad to have you joining us. What supplements do you recommend for a person age 60 trying to lose weight? Honestly, from a weight loss point of view, I wouldn't start with supplements. Like, I want to do a reevaluation of nutrition, training, lifestyle. All that is way more important than supplements. And this applies for anybody, regardless of your age, regardless if you're trying to build muscle or lose weight. But I want to give you the perspective of what a supplement is. A supplement is like the icing on the cake. It's the marginal gain. But if you don't have a foundation, the supplement's not going to do diddly squat, right? It's like, think of training, nutrition, lifestyle. That's going to give you 95% of your results right there. The training, the nutrition, the lifestyle. Supplements, if you have the training, the nutrition, and the lifestyle all dialed in and you're kind of maxing that out, then adding in sports supplements or different supplements to optimize whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, in your case, weight loss, that could give you like that marginal 5% edge that the training, nutrition, and lifestyle can't give you. That's how small it is. Now, if you don't have the 95% dialed in yet, then what's the point of worrying about the measly 5% edge that a supplement can give you, right? Like, it's minuscule. It really is. It's that marginal edge. Now, the thing is, at a certain level, marginal gains or that marginal edge can make the difference. Like, when you're looking at high-level athletes, like, let's look at in the world of sprinting. Like, if you watch the Olympics and you watch the 100-meter, the 200-meter sprinters, and they're winning by like 1,000th of a second. Like, one person gets their nose, like they lean forward, their head, and their nose crosses the finish line, like a smidgen before the next person's nose does. That type of slight edge marginal gain can mean the difference between, hey, I'm a world champion or I'm second place, right? I'm a world champion or I'm the also ran. That's where supplementation and all these little nuances can make a difference, right? Dialing something up 1% at that level is huge, because that can mean the difference between winning or losing. But for the average person who's not even going to the gym consistently, not following any set nutrition, don't have any idea how many calories they consume or how much protein, carbs, or fat they're consuming, they're still drinking alcohol, their sleep schedules all over the place, throwing a supplement into the mix, right? I mean, well, it's not going to do diddly squat. Like, it's not going to have any major impact at that level. So focus on the big picture first, and that's the training, the nutrition, the lifestyle. Right. Once you get that dialed in, then there are some supplements that can help, but they're not necessarily going to help you to lose weight. right? The thing that's going to help you to lose weight is ultimately being in a calorie deficit. Like we mentioned this before. Like you could take all this, you could go to your GNC or your vitamin shop or wherever, and you can say, give me all your best supplements. And if you're still consuming a calorie surplus, it's not going to do jack shit for helping you lose weight. Like you need to be in a calorie deficit. But there are some supplements that can help the process along. Like, for example, we mentioned the amino acids. Like amino acids can help you to recover faster from your workouts, right? They can help to aid with recovery and growth and speed things up so that you can get back into the gym and train more consistently, and to speed up the recovery process so you're not getting that delayed onset muscle soreness. But if you're not going to the gym, then trying to speed up recovery between workouts ain't going to make much difference. So we need to look at the big picture. So what I would recommend, Orby, I mean, if you want to discuss like what would be ideal for you, right? Because I mean, like saying what's ideal for a 60-year-old, well, it depends on who's the 60-year-old. Is this 60-year-old an athlete? Is this 60-year-old a beginner? Is this 60-year-old someone who worked out in college but hasn't worked out for the last 20 years? Like, who is the 60-year-old, right? So I think what you're asking is what would be ideal for you, right? And if you want to discuss something that would be ideal for you, feel free to reach out to me. Like I know you mentioned you're on Facebook there now. Just drop me a private message on Facebook and we can chat about it through Messenger and see if we can come up with an action plan that works for you, right? Because again, there's so many variables and there's so many ways I could take that question. I mean, I could spend the next hour and still not cover it all. But I just want to give you the big picture perspective, right? It's the training, the nutrition, the lifestyle. That's the 95%. The supplements, that's the marginal gain 5% on top of that, right? That's how much of a difference it's going to make. Whereas what do most people do? Give me the shortcut. What's the pill I can take? What's this that I can take that's going to band-aid so I don't need to do the training, the nutrition, and the lifestyle? And unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. Let's see what else. John's joining in saying, down 85 pounds to goal line. I'm the same weight as at senior graduation. Thanks. That's awesome, man. Like, congratulations. That is a huge milestone. I mean, to be back at the weight you were when you graduated. Congratulations. I mean, I love hearing stories like that. And I know John's been following the live Q&As and stuff like that for a while and implementing the stuff. I mean, it just goes to show your hard work and your consistency is paying off. Much respect, man. All right, I'm going to get ready and clue this up, but I just want to scroll through and just Orby saying, thanks for answering my question. You're welcome. And again, if you want some help with this, like just drop me a private message there on Facebook and we'll be more than happy to, chat about you, your situation, what it is you're trying to achieve and see if we can come up with an action plan as far as training, nutrition, and lifestyle and supplements that would work for you. All right. Adil saying, thanks, Lee. I hope you don't mind me asking too many questions. You know what? I don't mind at all because you guys asking questions is what makes this live Q&A happen. If it wasn't for people asking questions, I'd be sitting here staring at a camera and talking to myself. Well, I'm still kind of talking to myself, but I'm answering your questions. So I appreciate you for participating. This is a two-way conversation. All right, what else we got there? Let's see. All right, one more question here. What's the best exercise for dips and biceps? He meant delts and biceps. When it comes to training a muscle group, the main thing is to train that muscle group in a progressive overload fashion and not getting hung up on the best exercise, because the best exercise is going to vary depending on your individual situation, any injuries or mobility issues you're dealing with, what you have available for exercise equipment, right? Like there really is no best exercise, right? Like that's what I want to get at. It's training the muscle in a progressive overload fashion and placing stress on the muscle that it's not accustomed to, so it has to adapt and grow in response to that stress, right? So you could do shoulder presses and side lateral raises and front raises and shrugs and rear delt flies and all that for your delts using free weights. You could do it using machines or a combination of both. You're probably going to, as long as you're training in that progressive overload fashion and allowing it to rest, recover, and grow, you're probably going to make similar progress, right? Same thing with the biceps. I mean, the biceps are a very simple exercise or very simple muscle group. I mean, basically it's curling the arm, right? So it's very simple. The two things that you want to focus on with the biceps is generally you want to do exercises where you have a supination involved. Like that's one variation of a bicep curl where you literally rotate, because the biceps have two primary functions. One is to curl the arm up, but the other one is to rotate your hand. So from palm down to palm up, that's bicep supination. So having like a dumbbell curl where you can twist and rotate, that's going to help. But then you can also incorporate some barbell or machine exercises that keep you in a fixed position as well. But bottom line, you want to just incorporate different variations of those curling motions. And as far as the best, what feels the best? Like what one gives you the best pump? And this is something that can change as your body adapts and evolves. Like I'll give you an example. Like when I was younger, I found straight barbell curls was an exercise that I really liked for biceps. And I got a really good pump from doing straight barbell curls. And I still like that exercise and encourage it for people if they can do it comfortably. But as I've gotten older, as I've had some injuries and some, the joints don't feel as good as they once did, now I prefer to do like an easy curl because I find that the easy curl angle places less strain on my wrists, less strain on the elbows. It allows me to train in a more comfortable position. Probably not quite as hard of a contraction in the bicep because the hands aren't fully rotated and supinated all the way, but it's a lot easier on the joints and it allows me to train more consistently without causing pain or discomfort. And there's two types of pain and discomfort. There's feeling the burn in the muscle, like getting a pump, getting a burn. That's good pain. Feeling aches and pains in the joints, tendons, and ligaments, that's the bad pain, right? So we don't want to feel joint pain. We want to feel muscular fatigue, that type of pain, if you will. So differentiating between the two types of pain is good to know. And I find that sometimes I have to modify my exercises to work around the pain. And anybody who's over 40 will probably have to do the same, because if you're in your 40s and beyond, you've probably had a few aches and pains over the years. You probably had some injuries over the years. Like there's probably not everything works the same as it did when you were in your teens or in your 20s. And I can certainly relate to that and appreciate it. So what would be the best exercise for, a 20-something-year-old is not necessarily going to be the best exercise for, a 50-something-year-old, right? You got to work within your body and ultimately find what exercises you can do consistently and that allow you to train in a progressive overload fashion without causing pain and discomfort, especially pain and discomfort in the joints, tendons, and ligaments, right? So I don't get over consumed by the exercise. I focus on working the muscle, right? That's what I focus on. And again, this is something that's going to be unique for everybody. And that's what's nice about training at a well-equipped gym, because these days we have so many exercises available for all our major muscle groups, right? Not just delts and biceps, right? You can train all your major muscle groups with different machines, different variations. And if one particular movement doesn't feel right, chances are you're going to be able to substitute it with something that will allow you to work that muscle, get the stimulation you want without causing pain or aggravation in the joints, tendons, and ligaments, right? So bottom line, I wouldn't overemphasize or overstress, is this the perfect exercise? Instead, hey, is this allowing me to train that muscle consistently and in a progressive overload fashion? If it is, it's probably a good exercise. Right. All right, folks, I'm going to get ready and clue this up. Hopefully you got some value from today's video chat, and I know I certainly enjoyed doing it. I always enjoy our Fridays live at 5 Q&A that I do here on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel, as well as the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook page. So if you found this helpful, I would appreciate it if you could give it a thumbs up, right? Leave any comments or feedback down in the comment section below. I would greatly appreciate that. And if you know of anybody who would like to participate in a future live Q&A, feel free to share it with them. You know, if you got any friends or colleagues or gym buddies who are into fitness and nutrition and you think they would benefit from it and would like to join into our conversation or just kick back and listen and learn, feel free to share this with them. It'd be much appreciated. All right, well, I'm going to get ready and clue this up and rest up, eat up, because as I mentioned, got a race coming up on Sunday and I want to be at my best. And I will let you know how that race goes next week when we do our live Q&A. Right? Hopefully I got some good news, but either way, good, bad, or ugly, I'll share how it goes either way. All right, folks, have yourself a wonderful weekend, and I will talk to you next Friday, same time, same place. We'll be going live at 5 on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding channel. Take care, over and out.